I think that we live in a day and age now where everybody has access to fame. And it's not, like, I guess fame was never truly monitored.
Oh, okay.
But I feel like now it's so easy to become famous off of TikTok or off of like a OnlyFans when you're on, any sort of streaming app that, I don't know, we're not maintaining like a quality of people that can be famous. Not that I think that famous people are ever like really high quality, but I feel like there's no one to filter out anybody anymore.
Oh.
Right. Like I feel like it's really like our job now is like the masses as the audience to pick and choose, whereas it wasn't because of like nepotism.
Oh, okay.
Like,
How so?
Because like when you became famous in like the 60s and the 50s, it was because you had connections. And I feel like that's still something that exists today, but it's not as applicable as it was back then.
Do you feel like there's too many people that can get that in just because of social media?
Oh, absolutely.
But is that like inherently a bad thing, or what are we talking about?
I feel like when you really get to like the nit and grit of it, I think that everybody should have access to everything, but when you look at some of the things that people are saying nowadays and how social media is and how it's just really just a platform to find your own like what's the word I'm looking for, like gas chamber to like
Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
To like
engulf yourself in your own idea.
Right. And then you have millions of other people, or at least a good fraction of people that feel exactly the same way. And so you're never really listening to anybody's outside opinions. You have someone who's validating yours. So it's like there's no one to really, like I said, kind of filter out, because there's always going to be at least one other person that agrees with you. And that
That's
one person
fair.
is usually enough.
We all do want that value that brings from the affirmation of someone telling me you were right. That is a very interesting point. What's up, y'all? It's your host, Sunset NK. We're back again with another episode. I'm not my co-host, but I'm with
Kaylee.
Kaylee. How are you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm chilling.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of excited for this episode in particular.
Right.
Because I feel like ever since I started meeting more people that do sex work and stuff like that, I feel like their stories become so like elevated.
Right.
I feel like not that you have to go through a lot to be in that type of work, but it's like nearly a prerequisite to be great in it.
Right.
But yes, how did you start your OnlyFans and when did you?
So I had started online sex work in general when I was about, I want to say 18.
Okay.
And I started my way through like...
Was there a reason it was right away, or was it something you're thinking about?
It was just like... I luckily grew up in a household, or at least with like a mother who was very like about sexual liberation, being never being like insecure or afraid to fulfill yourself sexually. And so having that growing up, that support system, I never felt like my like sex drive, what I wanted, what I craved was ever a bad thing. And I think that inherently made my sex drive higher, made me respect sex workers more, things of that nature. And it was always something that piqued my interest.
Okay.
And so I started getting into like not safe for work Twitter. And that was like the community that I really...
Wait, question. Did you feel different because you were thinking that way while everyone else wasn't? Or was that a thing you just isolated yourself completely from?
I definitely felt different, but not in like a bad way.
Oh, okay.
I just like, because to this day, anytime I talk about like the relationship that I have with my mom, where I can talk to her about anything, I have so many other people that are like...
Lucky as fuck.
They're like, I could never tell my mom the things that you tell her. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's just me and my mom. So like, for me, it was never like different in a bad way. It was always like, I'm appreciative because I know there's so many people who don't have that kind of relationship.
Of course.
But yeah, that inherently kind of led to me discovering Twitter porn. And
there's something about Twitter that they make the best. It's It's just better.
You know what happened? It was when Tumblr got rid of porn that everybody from Tumblr moved over to Twitter.
Motherfuckers was putting porn on Tumblr?
Hell yeah. That was where the best shit was. And it was iconic.
Motherfuckers find their sexual awakening on just Tumblr?
Tumblr. The hashtags, the videos, you could post anything on that bitch. and then Tumblr got bought out by Yahoo, and Yahoo was like, we're not doing porn anymore. So
Y'all
like,
horny? Please move.
that's what happened. We all moved to Twitter. It was like, all right, Twitter hasn't capped anything, so we're gonna move this way. And there was already a community there, and I was like, all right, bet. And then,
did that shape the way that like you thought about who you found attractive when you started watching like porn and stuff like that?
Well,
and then when you started working in it, did it change who you found attractive over time?
Not for me. I feel like you can. So as much as like I enjoyed getting into the act of sex work online, I've always kind of seen things from like a business perspective.
Okay.
Because it's like, if you're going to find a way to make things monetary, especially like things like your body, you got to find a way to think of it from that kind of mindset, because it's also a great way to protect yourself.
Also,
because if you're just like, oh, I'm just here to have fun, you're not thinking with your brain of like, you're thinking with your fucking pussy. You're not thinking with your brain. And like, those two have to coexist. Otherwise, you
damn near get taken advantage of.
Exactly. And this is just not the kind of place that you want to get taken advantage of.
No, facts. That's honestly one of the reasons why I actually enjoy OnlyFans. Like the whole like idea behind it, because now that I can get it from the source, I don't need it to be like a back channel for me to get the content. You feel me? So.
Right. Yeah. Especially like places like Pornhub, where like things aren't regulated at all. Like there's so many illegal things on Pornhub that people do not know about. And
I spent the whole summer like just like learning about that.
It's crazy.
It's wild.
It's really crazy. Like the way that they're able to just post things, and like you can only find it if you really look. And that's kind of how they run websites like that. So that's why I already inherently found Twitter surprisingly to be a safer space for that.
I feel like it's damn near easier to have like sex trafficking happen based off of OnlyFans, or like taking it off that type of site and going into like a real world like Pornhub and stuff like that.
Yeah, I feel like Pornhub is inherently dangerous. Most porn websites, especially Pornhub, because it's been around the longest. And I feel like OnlyFans gives people the chance to monitor and make their own content.
Okay.
Do I think that it kind of puts up like flags for predators of different kinds? Like most people are posting their links, they're sharing their information, and I think a lot of people who are like new to the game, because I feel like I'm lucky enough that I started young enough to learn, and I learned on a platform like Twitter, where OnlyFans wasn't as relevant until like the past 2 years. And so I feel like I was able to learn that like there are certain things that you can't put on the internet, because the internet is forever. You want to put your body on the internet, fine, but at least do it anonymously, or change your name. So like all of my stuff is under a different name. Only people who know about it are people I want to know about it.
Oh, okay.
Right. And so it's just like, I don't know, people, like I said, you can't think with your pussy, you gotta think with your brain. And I think people hear OnlyFans, they think money, and they're not thinking, oh, I need to protect myself at the same time.
No,
so I think it's like a combination of things if you want to be successful when it comes to OnlyFans.
Okay.
Yeah.
But back onto the one question. So the type of person that you enjoyed just did not change at all? You just still kept your type all throughout?
Yeah, I feel like kind of why I brought up the whole entire Twitter thing is that you learn which body types and which people are the most attractive to the general public.
Okay.
And so I think a lot of people are expecting your type to like change, because you're like, well, if I make content with this person, then I'm going to make more money. So you're like, if you do that enough, your type changes. But for me, it was never like that. I feel like my type has always been the same. I think if anything, I found more people outside of my type attractive as I've like become more involved in like sex work, and as I've aged just in general. But yeah, I think it's because there's always such rigid boundaries that you kind of want to break out of that and make sure you're not conforming to anything that doesn't feel like you. Okay. So no, my type. If anything, we're becoming more explorative.
I love it. I love it. So now that you've continued to do it, do you feel like there's the correlation between like sex and how much you care about a person? Has that like widened for you, or is sex still like something that you like really care about for real?
I feel like one of the reasons why it was always so easy for me to like start doing content is because my relationship with sex was just different than most people's.
How so?
For me, well, okay. Let me not say that, because off the bat, when I did first start having sex, I was a late bloomer. Definitely. I didn't have my first kiss until I was 18.
Really?
Yeah. And then I
just
did
everything after that.
Oh yeah, everything after that. We were like, we're getting this shit out the way. I had things to do. But yeah, no. And then I lost my virginity. Not that I really believe in that concept when I was 19 and everything after that. And I feel like.
Wait, so how you were a late bloomer and you still said, yeah, I need it. Yeah.
Absolutely. I feel like late bloomers, if you really get into like Twitter porn, like you look at the people who are posting things, you'll see most of them have never even fucked anybody before. They're just horny ass motherfuckers who are trying to interact with other people who are also horny ass motherfuckers. And that's the only way that they're getting off.
Bro, the people that actually go inside like porn videos and like you scroll down and like leave comments are the most insane people.
Horniest. Like you would think they've never felt the touch of a woman. It's because they haven't. Like absolutely. Like if you really like you pay attention to the people that are posting shit, they either get pussy all the time or have never even gotten a whiff of that shit. There's no in between.
I feel it. I feel it. So have you came across like more actually how was it when you first told your mom that you were starting to do sex with her?
My mama don't know.
Oh. So just okay. You know what? Fair enough.
You know, she might have some like ideas, but my mama don't need to know I'm posting my pussy on the internet. She don't know that.
That's fair.
Would she care? No, because like she's literally been like, if you wanted to start stripping, I would not give a fuck. I'm here to support you. But it's just also like I know my mom, and she is nosy as fuck.
Okay, so she damn near wants to find out. No.
And I just made my OnlyFans free. She does not need to see some things that she don't need to see. No, the woman needs to mind her business. Oh. She does. It's in her best interest and mine.
You know what? Yeah, seeing your daughter is getting into shit.
Yeah, she don't need that.
Yeah, fair enough.
We already talk about it enough. She knows my sex life. She don't need to visualize it. Oh, absolutely.
So how? Okay, just to sidetrack a little bit. How can you be able to like get such a good relationship with your family, with your parents, to talk about sex and stuff like that? Because I know in some African households you might get stabbed. I don't know, bro. I don't know.
Well, okay, it's not the same with my dad.
Okay,
I should say that up front. Like my dad's a Jehovah's Witness. Like,
oh wow,
that man still likes to believe I am a virgin purified.
You know
like,
what? It's preacher's daughter. You know what that?
You
know.
I gotta protect that man from,
of course.
reality.
It hurts.
Yeah. But my mom, she was the one that like did that from the jump, because she always had issues like that growing up where she felt dirty about, you know, when she was feeling sexually active and things of that nature, and she just didn't want that for her daughters. And so from a very young age, she was like, well, this is what this is, that's what that is, like, never feel bad about it. She was actually the first person to buy me a toy. Yeah, very much like she wanted to make sure that I never struggled with that aspect of my life, because she had struggled with it for the majority of hers. So that's where that came into. And like, I think,
are you gonna be like super welcoming about your daughter when you eventually?
Yeah, absolutely. If the world survives long enough for me to have kids,
you know what, you're right. Okay, yeah, fair enough.
We both know there's plenty of shit going on. If we get to that point, I think there's. Like, I have been talking to the one behind the camera, my friend, for quite some time about how I would love to become like a sex coach, if that was like something. Yeah, because it's just like, for me, sex is not something that needs to be hidden or taboo, which is part of the reason I'm talking about this with you right now. Like, it's just not something to me that needs to be like scary or inherently dirty, because it's never been that for me. And it's been so liberating, especially like even when I have sex with people that I know have grown up without that mindset, and being able to have conversations with them, especially men, they kind of just look at you a little different. They're like, oh, they're like, you're right. Like, life can be like this. I'm like, yeah, like my whole life has been like this. And I feel like it's like a basic to sexuality that no one should feel uncomfortable in regards to expressing it.
Why do you think people are like so bad at sex? Like,
bad like physically or bad like emotionally?
I mean, both. Very much both. But like, because I've heard so many stories from my girlfriends where it's like, yeah, a lot of dudes just can't make women come, or like they don't care to.
I think that comes from a place of porn and the way that has been given to men since a young age. Also, the way that men have been raised, I don't think it's their fault. I think we've grown up in a society again where sex is dirty, so sex is not talked about. And then when sex is talked about to men, we explain women to men as like commodities, as toys. Men are not taught like, oh, a woman's pleasure is just as important as yours. And so it's like, it's the way the system is. And I feel like inherently men are, a lot is taken away from them. Like, I feel like the sex that men experience right now, especially those who don't know how to pleasure a woman or things in that nature, they're missing out significantly. Because I myself am, I say queer, pansexual, I'll fuck anybody. That's my thing. Not like that. I'm not easy, but I genitals do not matter to me. And so I've never had a situation where I've not made somebody come, and
just 100 for 100. That's
100 for 100. Have never not, and it's because there is a pleasure to getting your partner off, and there's a lot of people who haven't experienced that, especially men, and I think that's a really unfortunate thing. But again, I don't think it's inherently their fault. I think it's society's fault for how we raise men, and that goes into everything.
No, that is fair. That is fair. Yeah. I have talked to a lot of people where it's like the first time they were damn near expected to do a spectacular job, even though it's like the first time that's ever. I feel like that pressure is on a lot of dudes, especially when first starting out.
I agree, and that's kind of like why a lot of the men that I've slept with in the past, when I start off having conversations with them where I'm like, well, what do you like? Like, what do you want to see me do? Things like that. They're almost surprised. They're like,
I mean, a lot of women don't care.
Oh, I'm not that bitch. Because if we're not both having fun, then it's not fun. Like neither of us are really going to be enjoying ourselves unless there's that open communication. And that's what makes, for me, sex really good, is that open communication. Because I can't just guess that you like having your taint licked. That's not, like, you need to specify that that's something you want. Otherwise, you're not enjoying sex to your fullest. And that's not fair for either of us.
The freak. I love it. You know what? Everyone needs to enjoy what they enjoy.
Exactly.
That's nice. I love that.
I kink shame? Sometimes. Like, if you talk about scat play, we are going to fist fight. But
what what's scat?
Shit. Playing with shit.
Okay.
I'm a kink shame you. I am.
Yeah.
I'm not that bitch.
Nah. I've heard a lot of stories where it's like dudes are like, motherfucker would like shit and they'd want them to just devour it.
No.
Insane.
No.
Like, they'll pull up and give you 5 bands for you to sit and they eat it.
Yeah, I know they do that like over in specific countries. Like, there are girls who've been like, I got peed on for $5 million. I'm like, that's great for you, bestie, but I don't know if my dignity can handle that. 5 million? Okay, maybe.
5 mil, maybe. 4 mil, 3.5.
If we start at like 10, yeah.
You know what? I feel it. Even if it's just a little drizzle. You know what? Never mind.
But I don't want to smell like fucking pee.
Yeah,
that's
fair.
my thing. Like, I don't know what your diet's like. You come up here, I could eat asparagus or some shit.
That's fair. That's fair.
Disrespectful.
A lot of people only eat chocolate every day. So I
no, because let's talk about it. Because sometimes when you have sex and a person's hygiene isn't, that's disrespectful to me. I have almost fought a man. I'm not joking.
You know, what is some of your worst sex stories?
Oh my God. I have one that I don't think I should talk about.
And let's go. Begin.
Because it's something that I've never lived down, which rightfully so.
Was it numbers? Was it the activity?
It was the activity and where it took place.
Very awesome. Okay, continue.
Okay, well, I'm not going to say what it was because I will never be forgiven if I say what it was. I'll tell you off camera.
Okay.
But essentially...
The FBI is watching. Continue.
Literally, when I told somebody what happened, they're like, you should be on an FBI watch list.
Yup, okay. Hey, fuck it. As long as this goes viral.
But no, it was me and this friend that I had agreed to like go fuck around in a movie theater. And when we got to the theater that we bought tickets for, it was packed, right? And so we're like, well, shit, we can't do shit now. And so we're like, well, let's just sneak into a different theater. And so we did. And we weren't looking at what movies were playing. We were just looking at the watch times. And we found one that still had like 3 hours left. And I was like, oh my God, that's fucking perfect. Must have just started. We go in there. 6 people in there at most, much older people, probably the biggest theater at that specific one. And we go up to the back and we do things, and that was when I had my first kiss, and I got fingered for the first time. Then I was.
Oh.
I just am wondering who's gonna watch this. That's my, because I don't care about saying it, but
It's
Caroline behind the camera is saying maybe I shouldn't say it. Okay. So when we were leaving the theater, I was talking to some of my friends about what had happened, and they were like, "Well, what movie did you see?" So bad. I was like, "Oh, I don't know. It was just in black and white, and Liam Neeson was in it." And my friend was like, "Schindler's List?" The movie about the fucking Holocaust? And I was like, maybe. And yeah, to this day, I've never lived that down. Which rightfully so. Like, I get it. Like,
I mean, you should have been paying attention. Maybe.
I was a little busy. I was a little distracted. I had other things going on.
You know what? I've always talked about this thing where it's like in economies, there's some markets that are benefiting off of other markets and they don't even know it. Like McDonald's and Taco Bell are alive today
because of people who smoke.
You think we're going to Taco Bell at 10 for no reason?
No.
Please be serious.
But yeah, no, it was like the 30-year anniversary. That's why they were showing it. I'm like, that's even worse. Like, I'm pretty sure there's Holocaust survivors in the front row, and I had no fucking clue. I wasn't paying attention. I was like having a fucking panic attack in the back because I've never kissed anybody before. That was what was going on. But yeah,
You know, hey, hot girl summer. That's all I can say about that.
not a hot girl summer.
That was not a hot girl summer.
It was dead of winter. Very much Midwestern things.
I hate these states so much.
That's one of my worst sex stories. But in regards to bad hygiene, God, there was this guy that...
Oh, that was real.
I was not fucking joking when I said that.
Tell the people the foolishness.
Again, to me, when you smell funky, that is disrespectful. Because if I can go get in the shower and scrub my fucking ass an hour before you come pick me up, why can't you do the same thing? So there was this guy that I was seeing mistakenly. Should have never happened.
Would you have guessed that he smelled bad?
You know what? Yes.
So what is
That was my fault. Should I have thought that through? Absolutely. Did I? No. Sometimes we make mistakes, and sometimes...
Is your type ugly niggas?
No.
Okay, all right.
It was the one time I let one hit, and it was a mistake, and I've never gone back. He was also like, this is what happens when a 27-year-old pursues a 19-year-old. Yeah.
Just a tier above a little bit. It's just a little bit
yeah,
off,
like that was where the mistake was. But no, it was my fault for fucking him. Because, see, that's my thing. If I don't come, then I'm fucking you.
I mean, like, yeah.
But anyways, we got an
Well, you just got fucked. Like, I mean, I guess.
No, I'm like, yeah, I fucked you because nothing happened over here for me.
Do motherfuckers be actually making you come?
No, absolutely not. And I will tell a motherfucker to his face. Like, there was like, was that good for you? I'm like, yeah, but I didn't come. Like, people can't learn if they think that they're succeeding. You know
what? That's fair.
So I'm never gonna be like, oh yeah.
Did you? Okay, so I have this theory where it's like women, they come if they like the guy like a shit ton.
Valid.
And it's not even what the dude is like doing in the bed. It's about just I just like him.
I think that inherently makes it easier to come. But I feel like I have been with a lot of people that I like and still have not. So I don't think it's like the main aspect. I think it's an important one. But for me, it's about what the fuck you're doing.
How could you become better at sex?
Asking your partner what they like. Because more often than not, what your partner likes is something that somebody else in the future that you might hook up with likes. There's usually like a general basis to everything with vaginas and dicks. Like, it's pretty strategically the same. And like, there was even a point in time where like I was doing research. I was looking up how to give good head because I wanted to be that bitch that gave that Glock 3000, and I wanted to be known for that shit.
You know what? A lot of people don't respect that type of craftsmanship.
I'm saying like, I have literally...
Do you actually care about giving head for real?
Do I care about That's insulting for you to ask. Listen, I give head to 2 different genitals. I have to care.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, especially because to me, like, I don't really let a lot of people go down on me. It's just not my thing. Because it's not my thing. But obviously, you wouldn't know that unless you have a conversation with me. So the second you're going down on me, I'm turned off.
So you genuinely like giving then?
I'm a giver in bed. I'm very much
She wants to give to the point she doesn't even want head. Imagine. Continue.
But yeah, it's a means of communication. Communication is hot. It doesn't have to be dirty talk. It's as much as like, I care enough about you and your pleasure, and that is attractive. And I feel like a lot of people kind of miss out on that. They're just like, well, sex is like this in my head, so I'm gonna have sex with everybody like that. I'm like, your sex life must be boring as fuck then, when there's a million other things you could be doing in the bed, a whole bunch of things that you don't even know that you like, that you're missing out on because you're comfortable with one thing. That's life in general. If you're not allowing yourself to explore shit, then you're never gonna see the good sides of things.
How can you actually get your partner to like actually connect with that and like trying to take it higher?
I feel like personally I've never had an issue, and I think it's about making sure that it's a comfortable state. Like, it's not like, well, I feel like you can do it whenever, but some people are particular. Sometimes it's right before you have sex. Sometimes it's you're having a conversation. Like, sex is even like what you're at right now in that relationship with that person, but it's something that you both are talking about happening in the future. So you're like, well, if and when this does happen, this and this and this is what I like and this is what I don't like, because people need to know the variety of things. You have to know both, otherwise there's still going to be confusion up in the air. And it can happen during. Somebody could be going down and you're like, well, can you lean more to the left? Or, oh, I don't like that, can you do this instead? You want sex is supposed to be this pleasureful thing, and it can be a beautiful thing, but I feel like it can only be that if the two people or however many people are communicating. Otherwise it's just like two bodies hitting each other. You know?
Wow. Now that you're in, now that you started sex work and stuff of that nature, is dating hard for you? Like, do you usually find people that like, they're like okay with you having sex with like other people, even with?
Well, for a while, my OnlyFans was really just me making content on my own. It wasn't like there was ever really people involved. And if it was that kind of stuff, it was just random hookups from forever ago that I had recorded, that I obviously had the consent to record. So a lot of the times when I was in any sort of relationship, either I was just posting solo content or it became our OnlyFans. Like, that was the sole person I was making content with. I feel like now it's different because I feel like I'm pursuing things a little bit differently. OnlyFans isn't like my main thing. It's not something that I want to be attached to for forever. I think it's something that pleases me right now, and I want to maintain interest in it. So I'm putting more effort into it now, and I do have relationships. I'm in an open relationship. I've practiced polyamory for quite some time, so I think that also inherently helps me. So it's never been too much of an issue. And I feel like when it is, that's more of an issue with that person, but then that whole entire thing leads into like polyamory. And my understandings of it, and like before I became poly, which was a couple of years ago, I did research to make sure it was something that I wanted to do.
Really? What did you find out?
That poly is just an umbrella term, that there's a million different ways to be poly. And I feel like with the relationships I've had, there are different ways that I've been poly. So like right now, there's only one person that like I'm romantically interested in, and that's the person I call my partner. But we're still both allowed to go out and have sex with whomever we want to. And that does not take away from my relationship with them. If anything, it kind of makes you value that person more.
How come?
Because it's like, I can go out and have sex with anybody else, but that sex is never going to be the sex that we have, you know? And this is just a physical thing I'm experiencing with somebody. I'm experiencing emotions with you. And I also am so much of a person that I feel like any person that I have sex with, it's never going to be the same thing. We can do all the same things. Well, we can do all the same things as like...
But it'll always like get better, or...
No, it's a different person. So there's no way it's going to be entirely the same as any of the other sex that I've had. And I think that's where my value comes in with polyamory too.
Okay.
Because it's like, it's a whole different person. It's a whole person who needs different things, who has different wants, needs things and stuff. Like, so it's different. Like... and there's a lot of value that comes with that, and that's where I've learned a lot of things.
Have you always been so connected with your sexuality?
Yes.
Even as a young girl?
Absolutely. I think like 10 was when it like really was like.
What do you mean?
Well, that was like when me and my mom really started having conversations.
So, and you don't feel it was too early or nothing like that? For reference time.
No, because like I think a lot of people kind of like forget or aren't consciously aware of, but like 10 is the age that a lot of kids discover porn. And a lot of kids develop porn addictions at that age. And so it was almost nice to have like that preface before the internet like became so accessible to me, to know that what I was doing wasn't wrong, that I was experiencing feelings from it. It wasn't a bad thing. Did my mom want me to watch porn? No. Did she know that I was? No. Like that was never something she pushed. She never said like, you can go look at videos. No, that was never her thing. It was more so like, if you organically feel something, then you are allowed to explore that, and that's not a bad thing. But I definitely think that porn shouldn't be in the hands of kids. But that's not something we can entirely prevent, especially because every kid this like generation, 10 years old, even younger, has access to the internet. But
it damn near recommends it to you.
Exactly. I didn't know what porn was until like there was games that were being recommended to me like while I was on websites. And it's like sexual games, and then you see that, and then your conscious like mind is starting to look into it more. You're like, well, this is making me feel some type of way, like,
and it exists.
This exists. Like this is something that intrigues my body, and like this is a reaction I've never had before, so I want to explore it. So then kids find a rabbit hole and they go down it.
See, I feel like it's so hard not to get addicted to like sex or porn or stuff like that. How do you keep yourself like not craving it, really, if that's even you for a...
Well, no, because it definitely was a thing for me, especially when I was a kid. And that's something that a lot of people also don't talk about, is hypersexuality is definitely a thing that a lot of kids experience once they discover porn. And hypersexuality is just as it seems. It's like an addiction to sex, sexuality, like things in that nature. That was a lot of what I experienced when I was younger. And so that was a point of my life. And I think that inherently did push me to want to start posting and making content. But one of the downfalls that I feel like a lot of people don't mention when it comes to sex work online, at least, is that it kind of kills your sex drive.
What do you mean?
Because people are constantly looking at you as a sexual object. That you're like, I have to constantly be in this state of like pleasure. And it's like, it's debilitating. It's almost exhausting to constantly put yourself in that position, as it would be for anything.
Do people like, are they just like overly sexual to you like all the time, like outside the context of OnlyFans?
I feel like anybody that knows that I do it can be.
Can you notice? Do you usually notice when...
Oh, you noticed. But it's like, because it's like the way they talk to you, the way they look at you, the conversation topics that they bring up. Because I could be talking about the color of the sky, and they're like, what's the last thing you posted on OnlyFans? And I'm like, I don't know how the fuck we got here, but you know. So it's like, and I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, it's probably men that does it. It's not just men who are like that. I've had some crazy ass bitches in my DMs before who...
What's the wildest shit you've seen?
Just like random things like, I want you to fuck me and my boyfriend. Like or like, your tits are so fucking pretty. Or just like, anybody will sexualize you if you are comfortable being sexualized. So I think that's one of the downfalls that a lot of people just don't talk about. And that's kind of my fears when it comes to like how popularized OnlyFans has become, is that people are just like, oh, it's such a great way to make money. And like, I can do it like recording shit like whenever I want. It's like, it's not like that. It is just as much labor as any other job, if not inherently more dangerous. Because once people see you as a sexual object, you lose who you are as a person. You're not a person to them. You are a means of pleasure. And that's why...
That is a great... I was having that same type of idea when I was talking about like my one problem with OnlyFans. It feels like it makes every person that you see, they turn into a porn star to you, because that's like the context that you have with them.
Right. And then like people forget that I'm like capable of maintaining conversations, and like that I have dreams and wishes, and like I have a 9-to-5 job. Like, you forget, because sex is so like, it's one of our most inherent things within the human body. One of the things that we are constantly fed through social media, through media in general. It's an expectation of the human existence. And so I don't think it's wrong that our brain goes there, but I think that it wasn't always like this, and it wouldn't have been as prevalent had social media not come into existence. So again, like a lot of like what I see and I experience, I do blame on media. I blame on the system of things. Our governments, the Illuminati, whoever you want to say rules over the world. They program us to react and respond to things the way that they want us to, because they know that it keeps us kind of like in these rigid boxes. We're like, oh, if they're focused on porn, they're not thinking about the state of the world. They're not thinking about the fact that we're like ruining the lives of their future children, that like the gas houses and like all things are just fucked up. They're not thinking about that. They're thinking about their pleasure, because that's the only thing that distracts them from the fact that reality kind of fucking sucks.
Do you think that porn and like sex work and stuff like that, it's like a net positive to the world?
I think that it's a positive to a lot of impoverished people. Like I feel like a lot of the sex workers that I see, especially on Twitter, are people who are in financial desperate situations. And I feel like you can be both. You can be sexually liberated and also be financially dependent on it. But I feel like most people, as it's always been, sex work is like the longest running job. It's something that's been here for as long as existence has been here almost. It's something that people knew that they can always rely on when it comes to money. Like the body is something that can always be sexualized and can always be profitable off of. And so I think that's kind of where it's like, you know, like people can always find a way to make money. And I think it's beneficial for those who are impoverished, who need a source of income, especially with media. There's a great social media. It comes to you right at your door versus like you having to go outside and do things. People who are immunocompromised, who are still scared of COVID, you can still work from home and do things with your body. Like it's just like, I think there's positives there. And I think, again, also it's like sexually liberating, and that should be something that's celebrated. But I think it's also inherently dangerous. Okay. And I think a lot of people don't want to pay attention to that part of it.
Oh, yeah, no. See, the money, there's so much money in it that it is most definitely blinding. One thing that I've been like talking with a couple of my friends about, I was asking him, I was like, hey, what is your relationship to sex now that you like do this for work? He's like, it's not as
satisfying.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
And then everyone wants you to go like above and beyond, like they saw you in the show.
Yeah, like they see you doing stuff on a video, so they're just expecting you to be the best sex that they've ever had. And then if you're not, then it's just like, well, damn, like I'm sorry, like maybe I was tired today, bestie. Like, which is why I think it's also beneficial to have a partner.
That idea is something that's very interesting to me. Once you like fuck and it wasn't as good, and now like the whole mirror of you just is broken now.
Yeah, like they romanticize and sexualize the fuck out of you, and it's like, how can you like it's again warping your concept of reality. People do that because they don't want to be under the belief that sex isn't as good as porn makes it out to be, or like your body isn't as amazing in person as it is on video where you edit it and there's good lighting and you have makeup on. They want the fantasy because they don't want to live in reality where like, yeah, sometimes I'm fucking tired. You know, like sometimes my A game is not my A game. Like they don't want to live that way. And I get it, but it's also just like, that's not reality.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, I feel like reality is not like it's inherently like ass, but it just shows you the truth. And I don't want to, sometimes a lot of people just don't want to see that.
Yeah.
Because of it's like, the one thing that was like fun in their life is now getting removed now that the veil is coming off. Kind of like when people tell you that like WWE is fake. It's like, what the fuck? It's
right.
Like,
damn, like when I was a kid, that shit looked real as fuck.
Exactly.
Right. But I think that's also a dangerous mindset to have, especially when it comes to sex. Because I feel like, unfortunately, not all men, but a large group of them can be predatory when it comes to their sexual needs. And again, I feel like that's something that's been enforced by society. I do not inherently think that is a man's fault. I think it is his fault to continue it and not to change his behavior. But I feel like what he's learned was given to him versus like, oh, he just decided to do this. But I feel like, yeah, it makes sex scary sometimes, because like people have this one perspective of you that you are just a porn star, then they think that you're going to bend to their every whim. They're like, oh well, if you're capable of doing this, like if you do this for fun, if you do this for money, then
what can you really do? Okay,
right. Then you're gonna give me everything I want because you're doing it already. And it's like, no. And I'm not out here like I don't have like my main sexual partner is my partner. Like I don't have relatively any other sexual partners. And that's kind of how I like to keep it, because like I said, when you're constantly sexualized, your sex drive isn't all the way up. It's just not. At least not for me personally. So I feel like you have to kind of start like what's the word? Almost like screening people.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, that's very interesting. How can you? Is the sex better when it's with like people that you're working with, or like just like regular out the blue sex? Which one's better?
I think for me, like, so I don't like film professional porn. That's not me. I've never been that person, except for like the one time that happened very recently for the first time last week. And that was with a close friend. And so for me, anytime that I am posting something on OnlyFans, it's usually like the heat of a moment. Someone's like, let's pull out a video and record this because you have an OnlyFans. And it's like, oh yeah.
You forget that shit?
Yeah, you forget that bitch all the time. So I think that I have always been able to have both of those things kind of laced together, and that's always worked the best for me. Because being expected to post content, or people waiting or like paying and things like that, it makes it a job. And then that inherently makes sex work. And nobody really wants that when sex is supposed to be this pleasure. It's supposed to be this thing that pulls you back from reality, that allows you to tap into your most natural instincts, to feel good, to feel grounded. So that's why I've liked the way that I've always orchestrated it. And then with my most recent experience where I did actually film something, it felt like I was shooting a movie. Like it did not feel like real sex, you know? And I think I kind of liked that, because it almost felt like there was a pressure to be performative in a weird way. And like, if I didn't enjoy myself, then it wasn't gonna look good. But I was like, oh, I'm just acting. Like it doesn't have to be this brilliant thing. Not that I didn't enjoy myself, but it's like a weird stigma around it.
I assume that you've never fucked any of your like fans. Like you can like naturally just like, yeah, no, you're genuinely my fan.
I mean, I'm even like, I don't know, like I've never, what's the best way to say it? A lot of the people that I want to work with in the future, if like I do pursue this on like a more professional kind of wave, are people that I'm fans of. And it's because I know I can trust them, because I know that they are people who are, this is their job, and they're not going to fuck up their main stream of income. Like a lot of the people that I follow who are like big OnlyFans creators and like that I'm mutuals with on Twitter, if I was going to work with anybody, those people are also my fan too. So it's like, if I was going to fuck a fan, it's going to be somebody that I know who also makes sexual content and has been in the game for quite some time. But when it comes to people who are just subscribed to me, fuck no. I like to attack people who do that shit. I'll be up in my DMs like, you need to pay me if you want to talk to me like this.
Has there ever been one that's like an actually an attractive dude? Or have they all just been like in the side, like, ugh?
I don't really know what my fans look like. A lot of people like to stay anonymous when it comes to porn. Like, no one really wants to say, oh yeah, I'm subscribed to somebody on OnlyFans.
You know, that would be kind of wild. That would be.
But like,
wild.
I definitely have instances where like I will be hooking up with somebody who knows I make OnlyFans content, and they're like, I'm a fan of your work.
Oh, okay.
Versus like it being like, oh, I'm a fan. Like, this is our first time meeting. It's like, no, these are people I know that like I already have previous relationships with. So that's when it's like, okay, you're cute. Where it's like, if this is just a random person who's like, I really want to fuck you because I see you fuck other people, I'm just like,
you know what? That when you say it like that doesn't.
How else am I supposed to word it? You're a fan of a person having sex, bestie. Go touch some grass. Like, what the fuck?
I mean, what? You never like saw a porn star when you were younger and like, yeah, no, this would be the one.
Well, yeah, but like, I also would not go out of my way to be like, yeah, like I want to fuck you and like meet you in person and like try and fuck. Like that's. People have boundaries. Like, you have to remember that, like,
you're scared of the hoes.
I'm not scared of my hoes. Fuck that. No. I will keep that at a distance.
Oh, God. God.
And it just feels, I don't know. There's a level of consent that always needs to be maintained. And I feel like a lot of people kind of forget that. They're like, oh, well, if you like being viewed as a sexual object, I'm going to treat you like that.
Really short, yeah,
and I'm like, bitch, I will fight you. Shut the fuck up. Disrespect. Like, people are disrespectful as fuck. And it's just, it blows my mind that people kind of just forget that these are people. Like, I am filming a scene. This is not real life, bitch.
What's been your favorite scene that you ever filmed?
I mean, I've only filmed one, like actual, like with a camera and stuff like that.
Amateur counts too. Don't discriminate.
Oh, amateur is the best, and it's underappreciated.
Be serious.
It's underappreciated significantly. I feel like anything for me when it seems intimate, when you can tell the people actually have a connection of some kind, I'm like, that's hot. Like, I know that this isn't just, two people trying to, get a paycheck. This is two people who are actually enjoying themselves. I like when I hear a man moan. If the man ain't moaning, he ain't enjoying himself. You know what I mean? Like,
you want it just all in the ear?
Oh, not all in the ear. I just want to make sure the man's just enjoying himself, because that's attractive to me. That like, I like knowing that both people are mutually getting off, because that's how I want my sex to be. So I think it's more so when I can tell that people are, it doesn't have to be like intimate sex, but people you can tell that like are enjoying themselves with each other, where it's not like over dramatized, where like it's just one girl moaning at the top of her lungs and the other guy just pounding her shit. Like, that's not attractive to me at all. It's like
not with that force. You don't like with the force.
It's different.
It's too much. Like what's the?
It's too much when the girl sounds like a fucking seagull. When you know that she's like she's doing this for the camera versus like these are two people who are in the heat of the moment and they're like, this is really good. We should record it so that we can remember it, and then we can also make money off of it too. Like, that's how all my content has been. Always.
Whole time it's just for the vibes, for real.
It's just like, whole time you'll be fucking, you're like, damn, she got an OnlyFans. We should do something with this. And then the camera comes out. And then you're like, okay, well, we were already enjoying ourselves, you know? And it makes it 10 times better when you can tell people are actually having fun. They're not just doing it for the sake of it being recorded.
I feel that. Do a lot of people like just DM you?
Like Twitter, yeah. And it's, I've gotten the craziest fucking DMs on Twitter. I literally, my favorite one, I'll save them because sometimes you gotta remember things. One of my favorite ones was this guy. He was like, your tits look like my sister's tits. And I was just like, I have to save this. This is my favorite thing I've ever heard.
Look like my sister's
people will say the most out of pocket shit to you, and I find it fucking hilarious.
You know what? Hey, some people enjoy what they enjoy.
Some people enjoy. Well, I do kink shame. Sometimes you gotta kink shame, but yeah, no, just out of pocket shit. I've had men send me the craziest fucking pictures on Twitter. Just like,
you can send me like the nut ones.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm like, where in any of my posts did you think that was something I wanted to see?
Have you at least seen one that actually looked good? Or are they just all been ass?
Well, it's never good if you don't want it.
You know what? Yeah, that's fair.
That's where the cutoff is. If I don't want a dick pic, then I'm not gonna be attracted to the dick.
Yeah, that's fair.
It could be a pretty penis. I don't know if you really refer to peni. I don't know what the plural for penis is, as pretty. But no, and inherently is not an attractive thing for a man to think that you want to see his dick when you've never had a conversation outside of that, ever.
No, facts.
And that's just, no. That's something women have to deal with, whether they post sex work or not.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of nonsense stories from my
I've seen a lot of
girl.
dicks I have not wanted to see.
I feel that.
I've seen a lot of pussies I've never wanted to see.
You know what? I'm glad there's women that's being foolish too.
Yeah, you would think that it's just not that. And I'm like, I'm gonna tell you straight up, it's like that. It absolutely is. Anybody will sexualize you,
bro.
That is not conform to one gender at all.
I feel like women be doing it the worst.
Women be fucking crazy
because no one will tell them you're wilding. Everyone will say, "Nah, you be hype."
No, like they're like, I've had women who are just like, I want to fuck you so bad. I'm like, where, bestie, did you think that this conversation was gonna go? Did you think I was gonna be like, thanks? Like I was gonna take it as a compliment? That's not. You're crazy. That's my pussy. That's not yours.
You know, that's fair. Was she hot at least? Was she fine?
No.
Damn. No. God damn. Fuck.
And I think all women are beautiful, but it makes you ugly. I think it makes you ugly to do some crazy out of pocket shit like that.
I feel that. You enjoy the more like smooth people?
I don't enjoy nobody sliding in my DMs like that. I'm like, you need to get straight to the point. Do you want to fuck or not? Because I don't play with people who like to fuck around like that.
Oh, okay.
Like, I don't like when men are like, try and have a conversation with me, try to get to know me when I'm like, you just want to fuck me. And like, that's okay. You can just say that. Like, I would rather you be like, you want to pull up to my crib tonight, better than you being like, oh, how's your day going? Like, oh, you look so good today. But I'm like, bitch.
You're mad he cares?
He doesn't care. I know he doesn't care. That's what irritates me. I'm like, you don't care about my fucking day. You want to know what my pussy looks like. That's why you're texting me right now.
But do you think that it would like change it? Like, would you be like less down? If they were just told you straight up, Because I feel like that's kind of wild. That would
it is wild. It is
kinda...
wild. But like, I don't fuck. I've had instances.
Just come to the stranger's house immediately.
No, well, that's not gonna happen. But I don't fuck with men who like try and be in your face all romantic when in reality they're plotting the whole entire time. Like they just want to fuck you.
What if they enjoy the romanticism of fucking?
Why do you want to? Okay, well, why do you want to be romantic with me one day and then after we fuck, you don't text me anymore?
Maybe it just wasn't as like spectacular.
Okay, so then why'd you play me like that?
So also it's his fault.
It is his fault. That's not necessary at all. If you just want to have sex, I would rather you say that. Would I rather it be from someone I'm also attracted to? Yes. Like I'm not saying I want random men in my DMs like let's fuck. But it's
course.
like if it's like somebody that I've been vibing with for like who knows how long, and he's
Then what's the difference between that and he just wants to fuck straight up?
because women no. We know when a man is just trying to fuck.
Oh.
Like you guys are not smooth with that shit. like you can't just like come over, like a shit ton of my posts, comment on all my pictures, and then be like,
I'm chilling.
you're not chilling, motherfucker. You just looked up what my fucking social security was. Like you don't know. It's not that kind. You're on bullshit, and I'm not about that. And then when you start treating men the same way that they treat women during sex, they lose their shit. Do you know how many guys that I have fucked and not talked to afterwards, and they come crawling back, and it's like, yeah, because you're a manipulative fuck, and you've never had anybody manipulate you before.
So like y'all stopped talking like right after he's like, you got done, put on your clothes, and like left and just did it.
Oh, I've done that before, and men lose their mind because you do the same shit to women, and then when a woman does it to you,
Me personally, that's the wildest.
if I came here to get fucked, I came here to get fucked. I'm not here to chit chat. I got what I needed. And that's the same way men act, isn't it?
We can't just get cookies after we can't get
Why
ice cream.
would you get cookies?
Can't get no ice cream.
I only do that with people that I have had a good time with. If I did not enjoy myself, I'm calling the lift and going home. And that tells you what you need to know. Wow. And if he were to ask me like, well, what happened? I would clarify. I'm not going to be that bitch that's just like, oh, like whatever. No, I'm going to let you know like this is what happened and I didn't like that. And you need to improve on this. And I'm not saying this to be a bitch. I'm saying this so that the next girl that you have sex with has a good time like I didn't.
He needs to put like that circle. He needs
right,
to
like you take notes, bestie. This is not like me trying to berate you. This is me trying to teach you.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, because we can't learn as a community unless we're teaching each other.
So, there's no chance for any of your fans to reach out.
Fuck no. That's crazy.
That is so interesting.
That is crazy ass shit.
I feel like there's like a whole genre where they just go and they just like fuck their fans.
That's not
like
my genre.
Oh, that's not your
Hell
niche for
fucking
real?
no.
Oh.
No, that's not my thing at all. I think it's entirely disrespectful and shows how you view that person for you to be like, oh, I really want to fuck you because I see you fuck other people. And it's like, oh, so you're not seeing me as a person outside of the content that I make. You're not recognizing how you're crossing so many fucking boundaries right now.
I feel that.
I've turned my DMs off. That's why I don't post my face with my content at all. At least not on Twitter, on like very public platforms. Only place that like you'll see my face is on my OnlyFans because you have to subscribe to see it.
Oh, okay.
And that even then is not.
That's still not that many layers.
It's limited. And it's because of protection because people are fucking crazy. And it's like that's why I don't respond to DMs because I don't know where your mind's at. I don't know you like that.
I feel that.
That's why I will take month-long breaks from like making content. Not only because I have to like fix my sex drive, but because people are fucking scary and I am very untrusting of individuals. So this all started off for a thing for me, but then when you realize that you are engaging with real life people, you have to be very protective of yourself.
Love that. So we've reached that segment of Wish I Had a Sensei, where my guests give some advice that they wish they had when they were younger, some advice for them now, or some advice for them in the future. Take it away.
Advice for younger me? Okay. You are a lot more attractive than you think.
Speak on it.
I feel like guys, we're taught from a young age that there's a specific way that you have to look to be presented as beautiful, and that is not true. And you have always been absurdly beautiful, and that is not based on what society deems as that is. It's based on the heart that you've always had. And that's why you are surrounded with the people that you're surrounded by. That's why people call you pretty when they see you, because of your heart that shines through you, not the physical aspects that you have. Am I fucking hot as shit? Yes. Is it because I'm a nice person? Mainly. So I think that's something that everybody needs to recognize. Remember that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and it's always been that way.
Fire. All right, y'all. Thank you again for showing up.
Of course.
This has been very spectacular. All right.